You know, a lot of people ask me, oh, do you hate people? Do you hate things? And then they say, oh, are you someone's hater? Do you hate this person? Do you hate that person? No, I don't hate anybody specifically. I try not to. I just don't think it's a good habit. But you know what? Something I actually do hate. I hate Keter. So what if I put all my money on the boss monster and I build the deck out pennies? Let's try it out. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm DZBT15 here. Today I am back to talk about the last of the 3 Dear Days decks. Today we are going to talk about Gramgrace Sieg, and my personal favorite. Although I say that about every one of the Dear Days 2 bosses, so at this point I'm clearly lying about somebody, right? So today we are going to talk about Gramgrace Sieg, a deck I've been highly reluctant to talk about. And it's not because I don't like the deck. In fact, I love this guy to death. I've often told people who's talked to me about this deck, I said, you know, Gramgrace Sieg is just limitless human potential. You can build him however you want with whatever cards you want. Unfortunately, that has now proven to be his biggest weakness because now everyone is just interested in playing the same card core in this deck. Everyone's just like, ooh, we are Keter, we carry the flame, we fight for the Yuki, we on the Miltai. It's so fucking annoying. I can't take this, man. Like, decks are supposed to be fun and creative. Instead, all I get is the same 16 card core, and people go, oh, if you can't afford Selgown, go jump off a bridge. Like, dude, like, stop. It's so annoying that today I thought about it in a different way, and I said, what if I built the entire deck for less than 2,000 yen? So the goal for this deck was straight up, I'm going to build the cheapest yet still most functional Gramgrace Sieg deck you can build. This is the literal cheapest version of the deck that you can still play at locals and still not go like 0-5, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a deck that can still do something. And to achieve this goal, I've had some help from friend of the channel, Kidani. I'm just kidding, it's not my friend. Wherein I have new Gramgrace Sieg support from DZBT15. So I got a new triple rare, I got a new double rare, and I also got a new right line and all that, which is fine. All of these cards have been so cheap because Gramgrace Sieg is just not a really popular deck. Like, double rare was like 50 yen, this was like 100 yen, this was like 10 yen, 5 yen even. Like, this deck is literal pennies. Like, you can build this deck. Like, if you put your hand in your bum and dig it, and then you take your hand out and there's like a bunch of coins in there, yeah, you can build this deck with that. And it is generally so fun. The problem is that most of the good cards in Keter, which are expensive, are generic, and that's because the entire of Keter runs the same way at this point. I'm really hoping the ban list solves that, because my goodness, I'm sick of it. But instead, I decided to try and cash out and find cheaper generics, or generics that have been reprinted in modern time. And because of that, there are some cards in here that you probably never heard of before, never seen before, but they're all generic. The hilarious part is they're all generic, because the Gramgrace Sieg support before this set has only one good card, and that's just Esmir. And Esmir has been reprinted in the legendary duelist DZSS16, the set I keep talking about because I went to Tokyo, and she's like 50 yen for the foil, mind you. So you can high rare this deck for like $2 now. It's so funny at this point. It is hilarious. So yeah, even though my Gramgrace Sieg is the secret rare version, 4 copies of it, I'm borrowing these off a very close friend of mine. Thank you to him very much. But the rest of this deck, you can build it for literal pennies. Okay, the rest of this deck is all like common and rare. I'm not even kidding. The whole joke is that all the money went to this guy, and like the rest of the deck is just pennies. So there's no Selgown, there is no Nebula Knight's Order, there is no Tayfall. Anything you think is a good generic is not here. Okay, we don't even have money for Dissection Angel. We are playing Painkiller. Do you know who Painkiller is? Do you all know? You know this card doesn't have a 0 year on it, right? Yeah, I thought so. So we are going that far back in time and that far deep in the rabbit hole to build this deck the cheapest way it can. So if any of you are thinking, oh Ahmed, this is not optimal deck, you should play 4 Nebula Knights. You can search it off, you know, new grade 1, the grade 1 skills, look at the top 5 cards your deck, add a grade 3. I know what you're supposed to do. I ain't doing it, because if I just do that, then I'll get comments like what I did in the last Ezel video, and people go, oh, the deck is so boring, why are you playing Tayfall? But Tayfall was the best option. So like, I physically don't have a choice, right? But because Gramgrace Sieg, you can play literally anything under the sun, I'm like, okay, let's just build it in the funniest way possible. No good generics. Every generic in here is worth less than 200 yen. Okay, that's a lie. I had to spend a bit extra on this one, but I got it when it was reprinted in the legendary duelist, so it was like 300 yen, so it's not too bad. But everything else in this deck is super affordable. You really can build this deck out of nothing, and that's what I want to show for this deck profile. Because frankly, if I just talk about Keter again, everyone hates Keter at this point. It's like it's so annoying, it's so boring. So like I'd rather just take it in a more creative way and do it. I had some help from some of my friends online in discussing this deck, mostly because nobody really talks about this deck. So obviously I'm gonna just give a shout out here. Thank you to Mr. Casey Sando on Discord. He really helped me out here. I didn't know he was like a hyper Gramgrace Sieg fella. So like thank you for that. And then of course thank you to Mr. Crafter 3000 for this. Thank you for your 4 secret rares, of which you totally didn't buy 3 of them. It was paid by me. So yeah. With that out of the way, let's actually go into the right deck proper now that I finished my premise. So the right deck is very simple. Obviously, we play a copy of Kinsekyo, Gramgrace Sieg, and then the rest of the right deck is a very interesting one. So we are playing the new 2, but we're not playing the new 1. And I'll show you why later. And then the 0. So the 0 can be anything you want. You can play Ren Icon, Fubao, you can play Bagao, you can play Youthbeck, you can play anything. It doesn't even matter. In fact, I don't even know why I'm playing this. I would have preferred the Hexorb stuff. I find her a lot cuter. Maybe I would have played Kriff, right? Like Crimson Line card Kriff. Wouldn't that be funny? People go, oh my god, you're on a good deck. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But like, you know, you can play anything. Like you can put your credit card in there and I don't think people notice. Really. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. The grade 1, we are playing the DZBT15 Tranquilia, who is a generic right line. In fact, Alden's DZBT13 right line is fully generic, and Tranquilia is not cheap. It's a common, but it cost me about 300 yen, so it's not exactly like, you know, cheap, but it is a good card. When a card rides on top of this unit, you reveal 3 cards with different grades in your hand, look at the top 5 cards in your deck, choose up to 1 grade 1 from among them, call it to a rearguard circle. If you cannot, you call Tranquilia out from the soul instead. So this deck is built to have a decent amount of grade 3s, 2s, 1s, and 0s, and the idea is that you just flip off a 3, you flip off say a 2, and maybe, you know, things haven't really been going your way, but you have a bit of defense, you can flip over 0, and yeah, that's it. That's a free +1 to your board. Very easy. I know Tranquilia has been out of favor for a lot of the more generic Caterpillar decks. That's mostly because the right lines in Vanguard have just been getting better. But Tranquilia is still good enough to power creep the new Gramgrace Sieg right line, which tells you a lot about the state of Gramgrace Sieg. But yeah, this one honestly, while it is a generic and technically should also be, you know, not qualifying under the whole, oh, I thought you said no good generics. Yeah, but Tranquilia was like, you know, 300 yen. It's not that bad. And trust me, for the 300 yen you're paying, it's not bad either. The grade 2, we have the new grade 2 in Gramgrace Sieg's right line. Someone told me her eyes look a bit off. I don't know why you would say that. I think she looks fine. I mean, I like her. I think she's alright. Her skill is very simple. When rolled upon by a grade 3 card with Gramgrace in its name, you search your deck for a card of the same name and add it to the hand. Now, anyone who knows anything about Gramgrace Sieg knows that this is a Persona Right deck. While most people tell you, Persona Right is killing Vanguard. Yeah, this deck actually needs Persona Right to kill the opponent's Vanguard. So yeah, this is a mandatory skill. I know this right line isn't as impressive as, say, Tavernil, where they kind of built it in a new archetype way to really refresh the deck. But like, you know, sometimes simple is the best answer. And honestly, having a safety net to your literal win con, I don't think you can complain. In fact, I don't get why any Gramgrace Sieg player complains about this card. The only other argument I can see is if you play the DBT02 Blast the Dark right line, right, to snipe off early aggression, to push for an extra drive. That's a good argument. In fact, it's something I am actually quite fond of myself. But like, considering that costs a counterblast and this is free, think about it. Then of course, the star of the show, friend of the channel, Sword Saint Knight Dragon Emperor Gramgrace Sieg. I did not bring the base rare, so I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to bear me squinting at this very shiny card. Gramgrace Sieg, huge fan, huge fan. The Persona Right skill, the red skill, is that the Persona Right bonus given to your front row, the plus 10,000 power, also applies to the back row. So that means it's just like Magnolia. If you know what Magnolia does, this is basically it. Except that it's printed on the Vanguard card, so you know, like, you can't really go anywhere. Like, you can't like break off Serral. Like when you Persona Right, you are just getting a plus 20k to every column. And your opponent has to deal with that, right? That's just how the way it is. So pretty good start. But then again, this is what the original Gramgrace could do in the first place. So this is a good skill to keep. But this doesn't need the original Gramgrace in case you don't know it yet. Activated skill Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your back row center rearguard units and give this unit can attack from the back row and an additional 10,000 power. Then, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Energy Blast 3, this unit and that unit you chose get +1 critical. And then, of course, his final green auto skill is that at the end of the battle that your rearguard in the center back column attacks, you can move that card to the soul. If you do, at the end of the turn, you draw a card. A lot to break down here. Gramgrace Sieg is a very strong Vanguard. I mean, I've talked about Gramgrace Sieg before, and my opinion has never changed on this guy. In fact, I think that's why most people who are actual fans of Gramgrace Sieg have never given up on this guy. And that's because, one, he technically can play the entire game by himself. Like, if you just ride up to him on grade 3, and then you just call out the card you're supposed to call to the center back, right? And then you just game from there, and then at the end of the battle, you can move to the soul. You can technically just play 2 columns with 2 crit and not call any rear guards, and that's okay. Now, ideally, of course, you should be calling rear guards, but the idea is that if you're playing turn 3 against Chaos Breaker Dragon, who I know most of you don't believe exists, but trust me, he's very real, you can just play 2 columns, 2 crit, and just zone him out for 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage, and then when you want to kill him, you just Persona right, and then just call your rear guards plus 20k, and then you just win. It's very stupid, it sounds very dumb, but at the same time, this is probably one of the most effective ways to actually zone people to death. And that's just because Gramgrace Sieg applies a force 2 to like itself in the back row. So that's 2 attacks with 2 crits. And if you know anything about Zorga, that's pretty good. Of course, it does cost soul and energy, which is a bit expensive, but the good news is that he costs no counterblast at all. This is one of the very few Keter bosses where he's not restricted by counterblast at all. So it's very strange that most people don't talk about him. Like, people sing high praises about Reza and whatnot, which is fair, but like, if you have a guy who just completely operates even under being CB denied, I'll say he's worth some pennies as well. And of course, that's why it sounds so weird that Gramgrace Sieg's latest support is a countercharger, like, hello? But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, Gramgrace Sieg is still the same Gramgrace Sieg we fell in love with at the end of 2024. He's not exactly world-ending, wherein he's, say, a meta or viable deck, but he's definitely worth playing if you're already a fan of Gramgrace, because my god, the gameplay you get out of this guy is massively fun. Like I said, all you have to do when you Persona right is just have 2 columns filled, like have a full board. That's plus 20k. Most people don't walk away from that, and that's really cool. But of course, you know, Gramgrace Sieg does have his weaknesses, where he's piece reliant, he's board reliant, a lot of the things that you could already expect from a Keter Sanctuary deck. So in this version, we're trying to patch up all these weaknesses as much as we can while playing under the budget. So there's no Nebula Knight's Order, there's no T4, there's no Selgown, all of that's out the window, okay? We're not doing that. So let's talk about our grade 3s. Our grade 3s, obviously, I mean, this one, like, if you know Gramgrace Sieg, you can pretty much guess this lineup, okay? We play 4 copies of Gramgrace Sieg, of course, with the Persona right copies. We play 1 copy of Cup, the original Regalis piece. This one you have to play. Like, Gramgrace Sieg came out with the Cup, to sell Cup. And honestly, I don't see a world where Gramgrace Sieg plays without this, because you just need the Persona right. 4 copies of Esmir. Esmir is a card that came out at the start of 2025, when I first did the original Gramgrace Sieg deck profile. It was very strange. He released the promo a week after he came out, which was like, huh? And it's honestly the best Gramgrace Sieg support ever, and Farmview doesn't have one. So tough titties, Farmview, tough titties. This is not Farmview, this is Esmir. Esmir, honestly, really good card. It self-recurs, it brings them back from the drop zone, so it really solves the piece reliability issue. It gives Gramgrace Sieg additional 5k power and a drive if you go second. Sorry. No, the plus 5k and the drive is, oh, no matter what, it's go first, you also get it. So that's already pretty good by itself. Like, Esmir is like, if you don't open Esmir on turn 3, you may just lose the game. you have to hard mulligan this one. This is one you have to get your hands on. And so a lot of our deck is focused around drop and draw, drop and draw, drop and draw to just try and put Esmir in the hand or in the drop zone, and then we just go bananas with her. Not to mention, because Gramgrace Sieg himself is a Soul Blast activated skill and moves the rear guard at the center back into the soul, you can just loop a copy of Esmir, it's fine. In fact, if you have more copies of Esmir, you can just call extra Esmir to other rearguard circles. It's just that they're not as effective. And that being said, we are playing one copy of Fernvale, who is the original Esmir, if that makes any sense to you, because Fernvale is the original center back or column attacker for Gramgrace Sieg. Sorry, the original Gramgrace. Man, he's fine. Like, there's no issue with Fernvale. The only issue is that he only has one skill. He doesn't bring himself back, but he's still a fun guy, he's still cool. We're playing him at 1 just as a safety net, also because, you know, you can search great trees out pretty easily thanks to the triple rare in this set, which is him. So like, you can just spot 1 to 2 extra triple rares, and sorry, not triple rares. You can spot 1 to 2 extra great trees, and that's also why for our last slot we're playing a copy of Laphisto at 1. Like I said, Gramgrace Sieg needs no counterblast, so I can just spend 2 CB and stand an additional rearguard. Why not? But this one's a funny tech pick, and because she's only 2 yen, so like it fills the bill. But if you don't want to try Laphisto, you can try other options. There's of course friend of the channel, Sajes. I'm a big fan of Sajes. Sajes helped me get my first top 32 in the WGP, so I'm never gonna hate him. You can play Fossat, you can play hell, anybody? Decoder? Can you play Decoder in this deck? I have no clue. But you can play literally any great tree. It really doesn't matter. If you even want to play more copies of Fernvale, you can go ahead and do so. If you want to play Neverland Order, you can also do so. I just really don't care. But just know that in Gramgrace Sieg, you need a minimum of 10 great trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you need a minimum of 10 great trees to play this deck. And that's not by my choice. That's just straight up how the deck works. You need 10 great trees in this deck. So yeah, just however you want to fill it in, it's fine. But these 8 are virtually confirmed. You need 4 Esmir, you need the cup, you need Persona, right? Whatever you do after that, I really don't care what you do in your private time, man. I really don't care. But just make sure you've got 8, okay? Our grade 2 lineup, our grade 2 is really fun. It's the same grade 2 card in the right deck. This one is, again, pretty obvious, so if you forgot what it does, just scroll back a bit, you'll remember. 2 Maple. This is just because Maple is a self-reviving body. 4 of the new double rare. The double rare is really good. The double rare is a Vipatsuka the Overflyer. It's already pretty good for me. When placed on a rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is a Gramgrace, or if your right deck has a grade 3 Gramgrace, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. If your Vanguard is grade 2 greater, for this turn, she gets 5,000 power. So, you know, you can use on turn 2 as a grade 2 beat stick, you can use on turn 3 as a grade 3 beat stick. It frankly doesn't matter, it's just CB1 draw 1. I'm always a fan of a person going CB1 draw 1. I think it's the best thing you can do in your career as a Vanguard card. The second thing it does is that when the unit in your center column attacks, if your Vanguard is a Gramgrace, grade 3 greater, for that turn, that unit gets 5,000 power until the end of that battle. So basically, similar to the old Gramgrace support like Difflin, basically what this does is that it turns all of your center column attackers like Esmir and of course Mr. Gramgrace Sieg into an additional 5k for free. And this effect does stack, which means if you do have 2 copies of this person on your field, that is a free plus 10,000 power. That is pretty much insane. I don't think you can really put an argument to that and go, why? I don't want free 5k. You do. You do. This one is really cheap and honestly one of the best Gramgrace supports you've gotten in a while, because like the other grade 2 we got in the stand-up deck set, which is Difflin, I never liked Difflin. I'm sorry. We just never clicked as people. Difflin always had very different priorities on what he wanted to do with his counterblast. I wanted to draw, he wanted power. We just had to go separate ways. It's just the way it is. Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s are even more fun. Tranquilia. If you want to play the original Gramgrace Sieg right line from DZBT15, you absolutely can. I think it's really up to you. The only problem is, the reason why I'm not is because all my soul is going elsewhere. We play 4 Perfect Guard. I'm just playing Aegis Mare because what? You know, this is not Aegis Mare, this is Palladium Zeal. Yeah, Palladium Zeal. 1 Crystal Beast from Legendary Duelist. It got reprinted to like 50 yen, so like it's okay. 1 Maple. Maple works with the Persona, right? So like if you just use Maple and Maple, you do just get a free column if I'm not mistaken. And you just need free bodies and Gramgrace Sieg. 4 in triple rare. Triple Rare is really easy. It's just when placed on Vanguard Circle. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Gramgrace, or if your Rider is a Gramgrace, look at the top 5 cards in your deck. Just a grade 3 from among them, add it to your hand. Completely free. You don't even need to put a card from your hand to soul or anything, you just get a free grade 3. And then on abilities, when you boost, if your Vanguard is a Gramgrace, grade 3 or greater, move this card to the soul, counter charge your energy charge 3. So I don't know why they printed you a Bobo Mine. They did. Okay, for Lien, like I said, we are playing all the cheap generics, and Lien is only 67 yen. No, I'm not doing the 6-7 joke. It's literally just 67 yen. Lien is basically the cheapest cycle we have in the market, and I'm not saying this to scalp the card. Okay, I genuinely like Lien as a card because I'm an IG Icon super fan. So please don't actually scalp this card. I would be very sad. Lien, obviously, when discarded during the turn, you can call itself back. Sorry, discard during your right phase, you can call yourself back, and then if you want, you can soul plus one to stand her, and then when placed on regular circle, you can draw and drop. And draw and drop is everything you need because you need to set up your Maples, you need to set up your Esmir. Yes, ideally, of course, you discard something like Ganslot or Nibbler Knight's Order, neither of which we are playing, so it really doesn't matter. But Lien is a good enough generic at the affordable 300 yen or lower price range, wherein I can justify playing her. And someone who was at the 299 yen price range is the original Painkiller Angel, who at the end of the ability when it boosts, you Soul Blast 1 and kill itself to draw 1. Now, Gramgrace Sieg, despite having so much Soul Blast skills, needs more cards that have Soul Blast skills because you need to Soul Blast out Esmir as soon as possible to trigger the skill to call herself back. Again, it seems very weird, and if you've never played Gramgrace Sieg, you may think I'm a madman, but trust me, you actually need this. This is obviously the slot where Cell Gown is supposed to go, but because we don't have Cell Gown due to our price restrictions, limitations, this is the best you can do. Of course, Painkiller is a big fan in the anime because every time the anime wants to show a Cell Gown spam deck, they just use Painkiller instead. Blank Email Phantom. But like, I'm gonna just play along with Bushiroad's cards for a while and just say, yeah, you can still play Painkiller. If you can afford Dissection Angel, either by opening a box of DZBT15 or attending the Vanguard Ultimate Championship, that's like in every shop like Bon Boko, and pay the 5,000 yen, sure, you get a secret rare version of, you know, Dissection Angel. I don't have that kind of money. I told you, the point of this deck is to build it under 10,000 yen. Sorry, not 10,000 yen. Was it 10,000 yen? No, it was 2,000 yen. Yeah, the whole point of this deck is to build it under 2,000 yen. There's no way in hell I'll be able to afford a 5,000 yen price ticket. And even if I could, I only get 1 copy. I need to get 4. That is 20,000 yen. I do not have 20,000 yen to spend on a grade 1. If you do, that's good for you. I'm very happy for you. You're obviously doing something well in your life. I'm not. So I'm not going to spend 20,000 yen on 4 grade 1s. It's ridiculous. I already spent all my money on a grade 3. So, you know, not going to do that. So, yeah. And then, of course, our grade 0s is very easy. This one, I know a lot of people are going to holler and go, "Ah, miss, what the hell?" Okay, grade 0. Very simple, very simple. It's just any grade 0. You can play any grade 0, it's fine. 8 crits. An over trigger. This one, I had to cheat myself a bit, so I get a free dose for 3 soul front. Honestly, if you can play the shield fronts, it's a lot better, but I can't afford the shield fronts. So the soul fronts are like, what, 400 yen, 450 yen, so I was like, alright, fine, 4 heal. Again, as you can see, these are all just budget versions, these are all from the start decks and whatnot, so you can get them at really cheap prices. And that's gonna wrap it up for my budget Gramgrace Sieg deck profile. I can't believe I said the word budget in 2026 for a deck profile. Like, this used to be such a thing in like 2016, but nowadays nobody really does budget deck profiles anymore because Vanguard as a whole has gotten a lot cheaper. I know a lot of English players complain like, oh, my price at cards against Scalp, you know. It's true, and it's highly unfortunate, right? I've seen some of the prices on like your TCG player. Yeah, it's really bad, I won't lie. But like, there are still tons of cheaper decks out there that you can still build. Like, you can still build the entire Z lines for, I don't know, 3,000 yen, maybe lower. I don't know how much it is in English, but it can't be that bad. Like, there is enough decks out there that, like, if you squint or if you just like a deck that's just not meta at that point, you can just build it relatively cheap. And like, triggers wise, once you have a playset of triggers, you can just play in every deck in the nation, right? Perfect Guards are all really cheap nowadays. It's not like in 2015 where like, oh, you want to protect Alt Dragon, you have to pay 90 bucks. It's like, oh, come on, I can't do that. But Vanguard nowadays is a lot different now, and I would say that Gramgrace Sieg is a #1 profiteer of that. A deck that can play literally anything means it can play anything from like the most expensive card in the format to the cheapest 20 cent yen thing you can think of, and it's it is really funny. Like, this is why I feel really sad when I look at some decks, some builds, some lists, and I just go, wow, the creativity is just gone. And I get it, it's all for the sake of, you know, competitive viability, but what happened to just playing decks for decks, by decks, with decks? Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. There's a lot of times where people tell me, oh, I can't afford so and so, you know, can I buy this something else? And I just go, yeah, of course you can, right? Like, I'm not gonna force you to buy something you can't afford. I just don't think it's right either. Everyone is in their own different financial states at this point. And I know that's rich coming from the guy who literally just put 4 different Gramgrace Sieg secret rares, but that's not the point. The point is that everyone spends the money differently, and like, sure, some people are irresponsible with their money, but like, you know, the rest of us, we don't necessarily need to do that. We can still buy decks within our own means, and hey, if that means we can't afford Gangslot or we can't afford Nebula Knight's Order, we just have to play without it, right? Like, what else are we going to do? We can proxy it, sure, but that just means we can't play competitively. But I think it's fine as well. Like, you don't have to play everything competitively just to have fun. I know people that go, oh, it's my hobby, so I must play it at every tournament. You don't need to. You really don't. Like, your self-worth is not based on how many wins you put on your Twitter bio or on VG Paradox. And I've learned that the hard way. It's just not. It's not worth it, man. Like, it's really not. And some people, they are just really hurting because of things like that, in card prices and card affordability. Yeah, there's just a lot. And why am I getting so deep and philosophical about a deck whose literal motto is just slam people with 2 crit? I don't know, but I've really enjoyed doing this whole experiment, building and trying this deck. I really enjoyed talking to people about this deck either. I had no idea people actually like this deck. I thought I was the only one. But yeah, that's really about all I can say. And that ends my coverage for the Dear Days 2 decks. So at this point in time, I've covered all 3 Dear Days 2 decks. What do you guys think of the Dear Days 2 decks? And which is your favorite Dear Days 2 deck? Because, like, I'm very curious. Honestly, like, they are some of the most under-discussed decks ever, if you ask me. I'm just very curious what the rest of y'all think. Yeah, that's really about all I can say about this video. I'm releasing this video, I think, right before the ban list. I need to check my release schedule. I really can't remember for the life of me. But if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this video comes out right before the ban list. So I have no idea what's on the ban list at this point. I mean, I have guesses, right, based on, you know, the things Bushiroad said, based on the tournament toppings, based on what I saw in May and June. I have a good idea on what's on the ban list, but frankly, I have no clue what's actually going to be on the ban list. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited for the ban list. I hope they do this game well, because my god, we actually need a good ban list. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.